Stephen Horrell, who is a senior fellow in transatlantic defence and security at the Centre for European Policy Analysis, joins us now. Stephen, lovely to have your company today. Thank you for your time. Now, given your expertise, how do you see this war ending here? How do you see the next few weeks playing out?
So the Russian offensive in the east, in the Donbass, is very critical. This is actually potentially a style of fight that suits them better than their quick conquest attempt that failed around Kyiv and Kharkiv does. So it's a lot of heavy slugging it out with artillery. However, so far, their progress has been very slow. The Ukrainian armed forces continue to acquit themselves very well. So there is definitely the potential for some military stalemate to occur in the east and in the south, but hopefully Ukraine can mount some counteroffensive.
Now, let's talk about Ukraine's military might here, because Russian forces have been met with a significant Ukrainian resistance here. But Russian Foreign Minister recently says that Ukraine's demand for US advanced rockets is a direct provocation. The Kremlin also says the US is only adding fuel to the fire by supplying more military might. What do you make of those comments?
The Kremlin has been calling a lot of the Western security assistance a direct conflict. They've been blustering an awful lot, and such security assistance in no way makes the U.S. or any of the Western allies, or Australia for that matter, a belligerent, a participant in the conflict. Just logistics and equipment support to someone who's fighting on the side of democracy against authoritarianism. So there's been a lot of bluster. I think there's, from the very beginning, been an expectation in the Kremlin that the West would not react with unity nor strongly, and that's been proven false, but they're still trying it. I think President Biden's recent statement about what the U.S. will and won't do in the New York Times should hopefully quash that gasoline on the fire sort of narrative.
Indeed. I mean, what is the threshold of support from the West? Like, when does that tap get turned off, if ever?
So it's very important that that does continue. So in a fight, especially one like the current one, where they're slugging it out, artillery battles back and forth, not only is ammunition, from small arms ammunition to artillery munitions, a consumable, but you're losing artillery pieces and other heavier equipment in that fight. So it remains important for the West to continue that flow of assistance. And it remains important just to stay unified behind the idea of supporting Ukraine winning, because there is a difference between Russia not achieving their initial strategic objectives and Ukraine truly winning. And a stalemate, if there are voices in the West, leaders of some European countries calling for ceasefire, that's going to embolden Putin to drop an anchor on a frozen conflict in eastern Ukraine, like we had for 7.5 years, rather than letting Ukraine get to a resolution and get to victory.
Do you see Putin doing that, just giving up and I guess going back to Russia? How does he do that and just resume normal daily tasks? I just don't see that happening. He's come this far, he's destroyed so many cities. How does he just sort of give up and concede defeat? Do you see that happening?
I do not see that sort of give up or concede defeat happening. What I see is whatever advances they get to being declared as a victory. To go back to the political theater before this third invasion started at the end of February, it was about recognizing these self-declared statelets. So at some point, even if they get a stall or if they get to military success out to the borders of those two regions or oblasts in Ukraine, if Putin unilaterally declares a ceasefire, declares that this is the victory, they've achieved their objectives, they've liberated the poor oppressed Russian speakers, and they're going to recognize these self-declared states. Oh, by the way, now there's other territory held by Russia and potential separatists around Kherson. That could be it. And again, it would be terrible if we had Western leaders accepting a Russian declared ceasefire and getting to a political settlement that isn't about Ukraine getting back to its entire territorial sovereignty.
Stephen, I want to talk to you about Russian oil and the reliance of it from the EU. I mean, billions of dollars are still flowing into Russia every single day for its oil. But most recently, in breaking news, EU leaders are going to ban Russian oil imports, well, the majority of them. Are they ready to stop this reliance? Can they truly survive without that Russian oil? And I guess, Will it ever resume in future, even once this war is eventually over? Will a dependence or a reliance on Russian oil ever resume?
I think that European dependence on Russian oil and natural gas was one of the things that led Putin to expect that the West would not be able to unify and support Ukraine in a strong and unified manner like they have. So I agree completely that EU embargo on Russian oil is a big, big step. It will be hard. There will be a little bit of pain involved for some of those countries, including just figuring out other sources and then the transport, whether natural gas or oil, just the transport networks you have to establish to replace something you've so heavily depended upon are very difficult. But the political will is an important first step in doing that.
Stephen, we do have to wrap things up, but I just wanted to mention it's also Children's Day today in Ukraine, which absolutely breaks my heart because 240 children have lost their lives so far in the war here. So we are, of course, thinking of everybody at the moment who has been impacted by this ongoing war for months now. Stephen, thank you for your time and analysis.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for that closing thought.